this video was not what I was planning to make. So hard as when you live abroad so far. I think that's like the most excruciating decision that you need to make. I thought I would be better by now. It's been like over 2 months. In fact, life was going kind of normal by the end of May. You know, spring was there, we were looking forward to summer and school break. Part 1 is a run that happens every weekend, every Saturday, and it's 5 kilometers, and it's all done by volunteers. That's actually the reason why I have the orange vest, because today I am the tail walker, meaning that I am the really last person to finish the race. That's my role in here today. And it started back in the UK. We actually went to the really first Park 1 a few weeks ago. That was awesome. It's like they're huge. They're like 1,000 people running the race. This one in Amsterdam is a little bit smaller, very cozy, very nice, amazing community. It's actually a very sunny, pretty day today, but I love this park because you do have a lot of shade as well because of the trees. So it's actually very comfortable for running. This park's so beautiful, and it's one of the things that I really, really enjoy is starting the weekend like this, finish like a very rushed week of work. So starting the Saturday morning, getting out of the house, doing some movement in a beautiful place full of nature, with birds singing, is, I don't know, it's just restorative in a way that is hard to put in words. I started to have this urge to be more in nature. I spent quite some time, doing activities in the woods and just being quiet. At this point, deep down, I felt that something was off to me. I could not really put my finger on it. I remember that, I was just feeling like a lot of emotions. On that weekend, later, my sister messaged from Brazil, and she told us that my mom had gone to the hospital. My mom's been sick, ups and downs for the past, I think, 2 years. She had cancer 2 years ago, and then she did a treatment and all, and she was fine. She recovered from that. But it was just so hard to have, aging parents from such a distance, because I remember I was in Brazil 2 years ago for holidays, and I was insisting my mom, I invited her actually to go to the beach with us, so we could have some quality time away from the city with the family, and then she could be with Sophie. And then she was, no, I have some doctor appointments, I don't want to go. She didn't go. By the time that I came back to the Netherlands, she didn't say a word. She didn't tell anybody, either to me or to my sister. She didn't say anything. So via a friend, we learned that she was actually, being diagnosed with cancer. I mean, she was so independent always. So she didn't say anything. She didn't ask for help. She didn't mention. I was there. I was there. And the challenge of, she going through this treatment while I was here, that first, that only is already it's just so hard. And I remember that, one of the things that really hit me was when the doctors mentioned, because she had a tumor in her uterus, right, tract. So the most common sense, or the best treatment, let's say, would be to do a surgery to remove the uterus, and then everything will be fine. But given her health conditions, the doctors actually made a decision not to do the surgery. They thought she would not, make through it. And that's when I start, realizing that, oh, she's getting old. And there was already, it's kind of like this, all those internal emotional, it feels like creating sort of like internal inner pressure, because you're 4, you can't do much, and it's just life. But at the same time, you see that happening, and you're like, I want to do something, I want to avoid this at all costs. So after that treatment, which she got the cure and all of that, she's been okay. But at the same time, she was just weaker. So she was going through ups and downs in her health since then. And beginning this year, she started like with a lot of bleeding, and the doctors could not, understand what was going on. Every exam would show just nothing, and every time they would come with the same diagnosis, oh, this is like, consequence of her cancer treatment. And then on that weekend that my sister messaged, she had like a fall, which is very scary for old people. And then she went to the hospital to check up, just to see if everything was fine. And it was. There was no, consequence, any sign of anything. So she was okay. But in the exam, they found some lumps on her. I think in her lungs, but also in her stomach. And when we heard this, I remember my sister, she told us, I asked the doctors not to even tell her for now, because we don't know for sure, but there's a big chance this is gonna be cancer. And if it is, we know how hard the treatment, like a second treatment now, will be. She was losing a lot of weight, she was not recuperating, and we just knew that, she would be very devastated by those news. At that point, I don't even know how to put in words what I was feeling. A mix of a huge fear. I was just feeling like an immense fear that I cannot even compare, like the biggest fear I ever felt. So I started arranging everything at work on that week. And at home, I told everyone, guys, that's happening, and I'm thinking about going to Brazil to see my mom. I just want to be there. I was missing her so much. Just want to, to hold her and be there with her and feel her, hold her hands. So then I talked at home with Rodrigo, and then we said, okay, I'm flying, no matter. I'm flying there, and I figure out if I work from there, whatever I do, I'll figure that out. So I had made this decision, even because 2 years ago, I experienced a similar situation with my dad being in hospital. At some point, the doctors, they informed us that he was not going to make this. And that was the time that I was okay, clear, I'm going, and then I went, but I didn't arrive in time. My father passed while I was flying. And I'm gonna be honest, I grieved, when he passed. At the same time, the relationship that I had with my father was nothing compared to the one I had with my mom. For several reasons that does not even make sense to talk in this video, but I just really thought deep down, I don't want the same to happen to my mom. I want to be there. But it's so hard, as when you live abroad so far, to really, match the timing of those situations. I think that's the most excruciating decision that you need to make, because it was not the first time that she was in a hospital in a situation like that. And so you never know, should I go, should I stay? If you go every time, it's such a big amount of money that you need to spend. It's all the logistics with kids, house and work and all of that. So it's not even feasible, to go and be for every time. But I just felt that I should go. And suddenly I received a call from my sister. She didn't wait. I remember like when I was recording these flowers, the rose bunch finally blooming, and it was just so beautiful. I really thought, oh, I can't wait to share this with Mom. She will love this so much. She lived in Brazil in this small flat, the place where I was born. She always dreamed about having her little outdoor space, like a garden or a balcony. So every time she would, visit my sisters or friends, with some outdoor space, that was the first thing she would do. It was like, oh, let's plant like a lemon tree. Let's, put some flowers here. As soon as we moved to this little house in Amsterdam, and I got my first garden, because I was not really into plants before. It was like one of those little things that I was always showing to her, and sending pictures and sharing like those little updates, and she would always like, be super happy. For the first time, I have this feeling of, oh, I just wish, she was right there, in the cemetery, close to me, so I could go somehow and visit her, and put some flowers for her and make it like a little garden. But even this, like, it's so far away. I went there, and I stayed with my sisters, and it was great to be surrounded by family and with everyone. Sophie, my daughter, she went with me to Brazil. It was her decision. And Sophie's being like, a truly hero. She's being my rock. I mean, not only in terms of having, like that little and still so big connection that gives the emotional support that I so need now. But she's being also so mature herself. She also crashed, of course. I mean, she was like really connected to my mom. And there in Brazil, we had to empty my mom's apartment since she was living alone. So it's such a weird feeling, to go through closing those places forever. Since I was back to the Netherlands, like, I've been trying to rebuild my routine again. Every Monday, it's usually the day that, in the evening after work, that I do the laundry, that I fold the clothes to put them away. And it was always the moment that I would, take my phone and talk to her. It's today officially like a month since she passed away. I have, like this week, I started feeling more okay. So I went for the first time to the office, like physically. I've been working, but like being in the office took me so much energy, like the social interactions. And I've been slowly building up into socializing, but all in a very safe space, in the sense of, because I don't have any problem meeting people. It's just that it takes a lot of energy. So I'm doing that slowly and, really assessing with myself, okay, does that feel okay now? I'm really, really lucky, I feel, because people are being super supportive, understanding the situation. And I think that's the key thing. It's something that I'm learning, is that grieving is emotional pain, right? But you do feel that in your body. I feel that in my body. So you need time and space to actually heal. Just like if you ill with something else, you need to be quiet. At least this is how I feel. And guess what? I'm gardening again. By the way, I do have some updates. So I want to show you guys some small things that I've been doing. Why does Yasmin have the best smell in the world? I love it so much. So let me go downstairs to bring you guys, because I have some new pots waiting for me there. And in the meantime, I will tell you the little updates that I'm having. So the Yasmin is blooming. This plant, I'm so proud because it was almost dying. I almost lost it last year.
but I managed to revive this. That's like a big accomplishment, I think. And I've been testing some new water system because it's high summer. We're having like a very high heat. And also we're planning to go on holidays for 2 weeks. So I need to find a way so the plants can survive while we're away. So I bought those little cones made of terracotta, and then you can put like a bottle of wine with water on top of it. The water goes slowly into the ground and feeds the plant as they need. So that's the beauty of it. For the indoor plants, I'm trying a different system, which is like a glass bowl that again slowly drips water into the ground. So I'm testing this while we're still home so I can see how they go and then evaluate if that's going to be enough for the holiday.
I will start with this pot, which actually is not mine. It's from the neighbors, but it's been there quite abandoned, like it's in the front of the house. I think the old neighbors, they put it there when they were selling the apartment. And since then, it's been just, left. So I just decided, because I do have some flowers that I put myself in our house. So I bought like a very similar one, like similar color. So, I'm just gonna make the front of the building a little bit nicer.
I think this is what's been keeping me alive, with a good bunch of sanity.
So this is a special season that my mom used to make. It's very basic. It's just salt with some garlic, and I think she would put some other herbs in it. But it's the kind of thing that she used to make life more practical. So we always love this so much. But it is what brings the special days that only her food used to have. It was nice because when we were cleaning, closing up her apartment, we found exactly 3 pots of this. So we share between me and my sister. Each one of us got one of that. So it's really like the last piece of the taste of her food that I can have. And I'm using this for the first time today. I'm making some pasta with shrimps, and then garlic goes really well with it. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna use that for mom. It is really nostalgic, and I think I'm gonna save this just for like very special occasions, because this is like way too precious. It's school summer holidays now, and we took some break, to like rest, and we decided to go to like a very empty, like non-popular place. I really wanted to be like away from the crowds. So our goal was actually to go to Slovenia. We've never been there, and I mean, we heard about like beautiful mountains and nice landscapes, but we ended up like finding a very nice tiny house in Austria, very close to the border to Slovenia. And today we're taking a little hike. It's just like nothing famous, nothing popular. It's just like literally like the mountain in front of our tiny house. Pretty known among the locals apparently. It's called the Freiberg, the Free Mountain. And the interesting thing is we're aiming to go all the way to the top. Let's see if we can actually make it. But from up there, you can see the mountain range that marks the border between Austria and Slovenia. So that's what we want to see. It's been like an interesting period, I would say, like of life in general, because as I said, like we ended up coming to Austria, which was not like part of the regional plans, and I have like a very strong connection with this country. In fact, like even though I'm originally from Brazil, my mom
just like me, she was born in Brazil, but both her parents, like from mom and dad side, they were from Austria. So everything, like she was brought up like in this small Austrian colony village in Brazil. Her first language was German, and everything that she would cook was like, Austrian food essentially. So being here is for me like is a way to be in nature, is a way to be like back to basics. I love mountains. I mean, you know that. So it's something that really helps me, to heal and, a little bit of introspection, but also like, especially here, it's kind of like everything reminds me of her because, of the culture and especially the food. I mean, if I go to the supermarket, everything that I see is just like, okay, my mom used to cook that, my mom used to do this, and yeah, I think it's just like exactly what I need right now.
New stars, so bright on the edge of the night. One spark, and the world begins again. Rolling into the great unknown. Every step leads away from home. Rolling into the great unknown.
This mountain indeed is the one that marks like the border between Austria and Slovenia. So, behind this mountain, what you see over there is then Slovenia. We actually aborted the mission. We didn't finish the hike. I mean, we did the hike, but we didn't go all the way to the top of the mountain. We got very close though, but Sophie was super tired and we decided to go down. But I wanted to show you guys the little tiny house where we're staying because this place is just so cute. Let me show you this. It's actually like a tiny house, but it's sort of like a trailer too. So technically you could carry that around with your car. So it's like a huge area. And they have like 5 tiny houses. I think it's 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's actually 4. There's this little porch in front of it. We are actually like taking the barbecue because we want to do something tonight. Actually, Rodrigo is preparing the dinner. So let's go inside and see how does it look like. So this is the little door. This is the view outside. Not too bad, eh? And then we have here the living room, Sophie's bedroom. So this is where you got her stuff around. And this is a sofa bed. And we have amazing view from this window. Then we have a small set of a dining table. We actually have one as well outside, which is very handy. So if we need like, for the 3 of us, we can match them and make like a bigger size. And then stuff around here. And this is the kitchen. The kitchen is amazing, especially the cook. Why is the kitchen not so amazing?
Very small.
Well, this is what it means. Like
it's a tiny house, isn't it?
Exactly. We have this cooktop, and that's all. So it's just like one thing at a time that we can cook. That's also why we got the grill, so we can actually, grill the meat today while we're cooking the potato here. We have drinking water over there. There's no dishwasher, so that's also why you have everything over here, because I just did the dishes before filming. So you have a proper sink here. Then underneath you have trash and cleaning products, and then on this side here we have the fridge. It's a very small tiny fridge, but there's even like a freezer there. It actually really works. Then on this side we have like a space for some pans. This is empty because we're using all of them, but like some cutlery. And up here we have some storage space as well. So this is like for glasses. Over here we have for the plates, and on the last one we have actually some breakfast stuff that we bought. But what I found very interesting is that here you have a staircase, which I'm gonna show you very quick where it goes up there, but there's like some very smart ways to save space. So there are some like cupboards around here. You have even a space for some clothes. It goes all the way down. On this one we have like Pinky's food. So here, up here is essentially like our bedroom, and you have like the windows there, and smart, super smart, because that's the thing about tiny houses, right? It's super clever in terms of how to storage space. So you have this area here, and those are actually more storage space. So we can put like clothes over here. Rodrigo's storing his clothes there. And another thing that is super interesting, by the end of the bed, you still have another storage space. So we can put like another, you know, bags and things like that. And then you ask me, but then Ali, where do you guys go to the toilet? Where do you take shower, you know? Well, sort of like a cabin, not cabin, but like tiny house life. So by the end of the kitchen, you have this little door. When you open it, ta-da, you have a tiny bathroom for a tiny house. That's perfect, right? But you still have like, you know, lovely lights around the mirror. There's a boiler here just waiting for the water to warm up so I can take shower. You actually have like a proper sink, warm hot water and cold water. In the whole house there's heating and air conditioning system. We're not using that at all because the weather's been just perfect. I mean, it's a little bit hot during the day, but just by leaving the windows open is good enough. So we're not using it, but they do have, so you could stay here for winter and like high summer heat waves, technically it should work. But let's come back to the toilet. So you have shower, it's super small, but it really works, and it's warm. Then you have space for the towels. There's a lot of like hooks, you know, so you can hang your stuff around. And the toilet is actually like eco, how do you call this, like an eco toilet. It means that, you know, the water is not connected. When that box, let's call it the toilet box, is full, then there is like a red light that shines inside of the house, so like in the toilet, so you know that you need to take the old one and put a new clean one, which is available. I mean, they give it, so it works. But it's really like back to basics.
This was exactly what I needed to allow myself to heal. Mountains have this like inexplicable way of grounding. And it was here in Austria, the place where my mom came from, that I found the connection that I needed to process her departure. Sitting by the grass, seeing the time pass by, creating simple memories with my family that I know we will remember forever. After all, this is truly what matters in life. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.